Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my co-owner commentary Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. And what else can I say, guys? Another exemplary episode from Lucha Underground. We started the second round of the TWitWoW Cup. 3 tournament matches with some cinematics sprinkled in. There was one tournament match that I was really fond of. And our main event, while it was solid, I was more into the post-match and the implications of it than anything else. So, partner, what do you think of tonight's episode?
Yeah, man, this is a really fun episode. We had 3 round 2 TWitWoW Cup matches, and all 3 of them were anywhere from good to great, I would say. And, you know, the one downside that I will say is a lack of cinematics. We only had 1 cinematic tonight that I remember.
Yeah, I'm really missing
we had 2
the
technically.
cinematics.
One of them was like a true blue cinematic where it was like not even in the temple. It was like the whole, you know, Tejano Brenda thing. And then the other one is Fenix and Aerostar's interaction. So we just had those 2. I definitely wish we would have had more, because I'm always, like, to me, Lucha Underground's at its best when the matches are short and quick and sweet and fun and, like, high pace, fast paced, high tempo. And we get, like, a nice chunk of cinematics thrown in the mix. But we had 3 matches tonight, 2 cinematics, and I guess everything just kind of lasted a little longer than it would normally on an episode of Lucha. So it was a really fun episode, but I feel like it could have, you know, another cinematic or 2 added in there would have definitely taken it up a notch to me.
I mean, I completely agree with you. I've definitely gotten to the point. I feel like I've been this way for a good while, and I've said this repeatedly on our show, that to me, Lucha Underground, they do amazing in ring work. Do not get me wrong. You know, the matches are always fun. It's just the bread and butter to me is how they put a narrative together. And that's what I really enjoy. And I always feel like when we go without like a lot of it, then the ones that we do get, like, there will come a time where we do get quite a few and they're going to be big. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be like bombs going off with their impact. We're just not there yet, so we'll see maybe in a few weeks. And I do say weeks because, I mean, hell, it's already been a few weeks, so why not a few more? But with that said, do you have any other preliminary remarks you want to make?
No, sir. Let's get into the review.
All right, let us get right into our Lucha Underground review. And we open up, partner. We get our recap, but then if I'm not mistaken, we go right to the ring. We get Matt and Vampiro running things down. And our first match of the night is Taya versus Jeremiah Crane. And what did you think about this?
Yeah, this was a really good match. I thought that Taya there was a moment in this match that made me realize just how different women and men are portrayed in wrestling normally, because it was like a shock to my system and it shouldn't have been. But I've just been so conditioned by all the other wrestling companies that portray women as sort of weaker and not as tough as men, that when Jeremiah did his face wash to Taya, and rather than just lying there dead for 10 minutes, she like got up and fired up and got in Crane's face like the way you would expect someone in like New Japan to do. I was like taken aback. I was like, wow, I did not expect that. I was kind of blown away by it, and it was awesome. It was a great moment, and I wish that kind of thing happened more with women, because I feel like I only ever really see that kind of spot with men.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, dude. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's also like a more subtle thing. You know, not that it's not a big deal, but we're not talking about something as like dramatic or in your face as, say, somebody's character or how somebody, like, you know, the storylines they get involved with. We're just talking about something in a match. And the idea that they're cool with Taya pretty much like eating a move like that and firing up like you'd almost see in like a strong style fight between 2 men, I think is really cool. Any other thoughts you want to share about the match before I go and give my brief review?
Go for it.
No, I just really enjoyed it. This match, again, especially you mentioning that spot, just keeps telling me that if Taya ever does have a formal technical run in the temple, she is going to fucking kill it, and she'll be like one of the most popular people there. Great back and forth between these two. I gotta say, for Jeremiah's part, you know, it's funny. I've never been that crazy about Callahan. Like, I always feel like I had the opportunity to be, but I feel like he's a guy that he has to have the right character because the in-ring stuff is down. And I'm going to be honest, I hate the whole cat thing he's got going on in PWG. I personally can't stand it.
Oh, wow, really? I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't care for it at all. In fact, I think it's one of my least favorite gimmicks in wrestling right now, if I'm being brutally honest with everybody. But the Jeremiah Crane stuff, on the other hand, I think that fits him like a hand in the glove. I'm actually really liking his performances in the Cueto Cup. I like the cinematics that he's had sprinkled in between those matches, with Mill. So Jeremiah is a character whose stock is definitely rising in the Temple, and I think he's really hit his stride right now. Of all the places he's working, I feel like he resonates with me the most in Lucha Underground, which should be no surprise. Sexy Star's involvement here, kind of distracting Taya, and then ultimately Jeremiah gets the crane driller, and he advances. So, we're going to find out his opponent later in the review. We're going to talk about that. And then Sexy Star, after the fact, she produces the brass knucks, again, a weapon that she has a lot of history with. And I almost feel like for a second she isn't going to clock Taya. Okay, maybe Sexy still has that moral code. But no, she decks her right in the face. So, Ashley, I'm going to volley the ball back over to you, partner. How'd you feel about all this?
Yeah, Sexy Star's character has never really been one that I connected with on a really deep level. I've always kind of appreciated her as sort of that inspiring character and as a character that I know people do connect with. But it's like she's just gotten worse and worse over time. I feel like her Lucha Underground title run was kind of a weird timing thing, because to me, the peak of my sort of perception of her was when she won the No Mas match against Mariposa, and
right.
There was that match was for an Aztec medallion, and she didn't win the Gift of the Gods with that medallion that she won by winning that match. So then it was a little bit of a step down, and then she did win Gift of the Gods during the next Gift of the Gods match, and she used that momentum to kind of carry her into winning the title, even though she didn't actually use the Gift of the Gods championship to cash in to win the title. It was just the momentum kind of carried over into this season. And really, to me, since losing the title to Mundo, she has really kind of been relegated to almost just kind of an annoying character to me. She showing up in a bunch of other people's storylines that just happen to involve Worldwide Underground, it's not necessarily a good look on her. It's kind of just annoying and irritating, and she's a pest that just won't go away.
It's funny because, obviously, look, let me get out of the way beforehand, especially when it comes to live reactions and mediums like that. Everybody knows I like to have a good time. Everybody knows I like to root for my, my guys, and especially Johnny Mundo and Worldwide Underground. But I'm going to put that aside, because you did say a lot, and you're right. She is very much involved with Worldwide Underground right now. So the fandom response to me is oh, Taya, you better beat the shit out of her. But everybody knows that objectively on this podcast, I have been a staunch defender of Sexy Star for some time. What he's been doing lately these past few weeks has illuminated something to me that either I wasn't aware of before, or maybe I was, but I didn't want to fully acknowledge it. I think, because we were just saying at the start of the review, right, how Lucha Underground's bread and butter is those cinematics. Well, I think it's not just because they're aesthetically pleasing or they're so good at telling a narrative. I realize that some characters need them to be interesting. Because I think if Sexy was to go and do things, on her own merits and on her own character, I just really wouldn't find her that interesting. But I think if you give Sexy, the cinematic she had with Mac, or, where she punched a hole through the wall, threatening Mariposa, that stuff makes her interesting. That stuff makes her relatable. But I feel like, she's the type that's actually kind of dependent on Lucha Underground's narrative format, because her just doing stuff like this without a structured narrative of, okay, what's going on in Sexy Star's mind? What kind of revenge is she planning? It's almost just been it's been up to her to kind of convey her frustration and stuff. And I feel like she needs that cinematic push, in my mind, to make it even remotely interesting. So it's not that I've soured on Sexy Star. It's just I've realized that I think that as a character, she very much needs Lucha Underground's narrative format to kind of propel her forward. Because I just think as a character, she doesn't have enough momentum to do it on her own, for me. So that's kind of where I come from with it.
Well, and another interesting thread, too, is tonight we saw her targeting Taya because, I guess she blames Taya for her losing to PJ Black. Which, I mean, first of all, it's a very heel thing to do something that causes you to lose a match and blame someone else for it. It's a very heel thing. She was the one that got herself disqualified. Granted, she used a weapon that Taya introduced, but she still could have not used the weapon. She could have, slid it out of the ring and won on her own merits or lost on her own merits. Either way, that's the babyface thing to do. And yet she elected to use the brass knucks, knowing full well that Marty could see it and that it would get her disqualified. And then when he did disqualify her, she clocked him too. So I feel like Sexy Star's character is undergoing a shift. I don't want to say it's a full-blown heel turn, although it does kind of feel that way to me. But it's definitely changing. And the really interesting thing, too, is that now that she's kind of set her sights on Taya, it makes me wonder, where are they going to go with the whole Spider storyline?
Yeah, just like I asked last week, right? Or it may not have been last episode, but like a few episodes back. Like, where are they going to go with that Spider storyline? But to kind of build on what you said, it'd be very interesting to me if Taya became a Technico by other means, right? Because everybody, myself included, if I'm being honest, thought, oh, it's going to be because of this schism, like this dichotomy that arises between her and Mundo, and it's just irreconcilable and blah, blah, blah. But to think that it could actually be Sexy going to the dark side, which what makes the character interesting, if she did turn Ruda, right, if she was the latest Ruda to be in the temple, I do think that would be a shot in the arm for the character, and one that I would welcome, and one that would be more interesting because it would be a case of, I got pushed so far until I just couldn't take being pushed anymore. Because Worldwide Underground really has taken everything from her. And again, oddly enough, with those brass knucks. So
I mean, yeah, it's like the Joker storyline, the one bad day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The one day where just everything piles on and nothing goes right. But in Sexy's case, it's just been the last, several months. It feels like at this point, nothing's really gone right for her. And she's, doing something about it. I'm going to be very interested in the fan response to this because, again, you see Taya have a moment like she did tonight against Jeremiah Crane where she eats a running face wash and fires up. Like, it's hard not to get behind that. It's hard not to get into that, at least in my opinion. So if they support her, that's going to be interesting. But, yeah, where's the Spider storyline going? We haven't heard about that in a while. Hell, maybe the Spider is part of the cause for Sexy's recent behavior. I don't freaking know. I mean, it's all up to Lucha Underground to really tell us. But yeah,
I mean, that's the thing too, is that like I'm not immediately just gonna say like, oh, they dropped the storyline, they forgot all about it. How dare you, Lucha Underground? You're supposed to be this amazing narrative company, and you just forgot about a storyline. What happened? No, I don't buy that for a second. I know that they remember. I am just kind of wondering how they're going to work it back into this, or if it's going to be a completely separate storyline that doesn't even have anything to do with Taya.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. It would be very interesting to see Sexy kind of have this double-barreled business going on. You know what I mean? On one hand, it's Worldwide Underground, but on the other hand, this Spider. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. And, I mean, let's remember that one of the encounters Sexy had with the Spider was Ricky Mandel presenting her with something, and this was when he was in the Johnny Mundo phase.
That is true. That is true.
We shall see. But that aside, I got nothing else to say about it. So unless you have anything more to say, we can move on.
All right, man. Well, I guess we can move on. And I want to say up next was our Fenix Aerostar cinematic. Is that correct?
I believe you're right about that.
Yeah. That is right. That is right.
And so what do you think about the cinematic?
Well, it has some pretty heavy implications for the Luchaverse as a whole, because, like, we already knew that Aerostar could travel back in time, but we didn't know for sure if he could also travel forward in time, and now we know for sure that he can, but we also know that he is, the way that time travel works in Lucha Underground, it's determinate. It's predetermined, meaning nothing you do can change the outcome. It's predetermined how things happen, and all you can do is just follow the path that's already been set out for you. And anything you try to do that you think might be changing something is really just you following the already predetermined order of things happening.
And that is very interesting to me because, I mean, first of all, I'm completely, and I know you are too, and many that listen to this podcast, completely enamored with the Luchaverse and its machinations. So to know that it has this kind of deterministic governance, like you can't change things, everything has a set course. You're right, that does have very grave implications. because you think about, the big tribal warfare and the coming of gods. And if you think, well, nothing can stop it, are we just watching a show about the very destruction of the world, or at least this world in particular, right? And there's something very engrossing about that. At the same time, though, I really love that Lucha Underground loves to play with concepts, and this has been a constant theme on my end for the last few weeks. Talking about Sexy Star as a female character, most notably talking about Killshot and Dante. But for them to play with more metaphysical themes, if you will, like determinism, free will, the ability to change things, time travel, all that stuff, would not surprise me if like an element came involved where maybe they would be able to change the course of events for some particular thing. And keep in mind, let's put this in its proper context too, because they're talking about Drago's liberation, because he is with the Serpent Tribe. Fenix saying, he escaped the once before, he left once before, he can do it again. And, we have to have hope. And then that's when Aerostar mentions, optimism is not easy for a man that's seen the future. So I think that's very telling. And just a quick side note outside of the broader themes, I loved Aerostar in this. It was cool to see some personality from him, talking about his time traveling ability. And the guy is slowly encroaching into my top 5 in Lucha Underground. I've just really been enjoying him, and it was great seeing him in the cinematic. And I love the way that he ended it, because he walks off, after they're done their discussion about Drago. And Fenix says, Aerostar, do I win tonight? And Aerostar looks at him and he goes, and thumbs him up, and he leaves. So, and especially given what we know, that makes this cinematic all the more hilarious.
Yeah, because the thumbs up was because, you win, but you might not be so happy about what happens.
Exactly. You win, bud, you win. But how much are you willing to lose, huh? Nothing. Good luck out there. And, that was essentially that. But yeah, I adored this cinematic. It was brief, and I'm telling you, stuff like this is why. And I know I said it especially in our season 2 reviews at the time when that was still a thing. And I remember saying over and over, I want to see more Aerostar. I want more follow-ups. I want more follow-ups. And this little morsel that we got just further fuels that desire. I want more Aerostar in a cinematic setting, because the guy to me is so interesting and so playful in a way, personality-wise. I want to keep seeing him in this kind of setting to see what he can do and what Lucha Underground can do with him. So yeah, this is a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Aerostar just kind of walks off after giving the thumbs up, and then we get into our second match of the night, which is Mil Muertes versus Paul London. And we both kind of mentioned it already. This is the most fun match of the night, I think. This was crazy. I mean, Mil, I think, was coming into this, and some people, people other than Mil too, fans, people like us, I'm sure we're expecting Mil to just come in here and just run right through Paul London and destroy him. But no, Paul London put up one hell of a fight. He was stubborn in this. He refused to go down or die.
Actually, I want to ask you something. I think this match is the perfect template to do it, because you and I, we don't do it often, mainly because, one, there aren't many people out there, and two, you and I are big believers, as dickish as this might sound, we're quality over quantity kind of guys, right? But we have watched people talk about Lucha Underground. I remember we watched a review a little while back when the Cueto Cup was still in its early stages, going through the group matches in the first round. And one person complained, when you get a match like this, and again, that's why I said it's the perfect kind of template, where Paul London seems more like a comedy wrestler and Mil is this serious whatever, that for matches to be as competitive as they were here, that it's not a 5-second kind of thing and a match actually gets time, that takes away the aura of the more serious competitor and the credibility. How do you feel about all that when you see a match like this? Because I personally adored this match. I'm right there with you. It's just, I know for some people, this type of match and the way that the tournament's been booked isn't really their cup of tea when you've got people like Vibora or Mil and, people like that. So what's your take on all that?
Well, I mean, if you want a kayfabe explanation, Paul London didn't get to where he is using the tactics that he uses because they don't work. He got where he is using those tactics because they do work, because he wins with them, because he beat Vibora last week with those tactics. Kayfabe-wise, Paul London using these kind of crazy, wacky, loopy tactics is a fighting style. It's his fighting style, and it works for him. So that's like the kayfabe explanation. As far as kind of breaking away from that and like fourth wall breaking and actually like looking at it from an analyst standpoint, to me, as long as it's not like one of those situations where Paul London is able to like beat Mil Muertes with like like snapping his waistband on him or like stupid silly stuff like that, or even like the Cobra, like Santino's old finisher.
Right.
That to me makes the person that loses to that lose credibility. But in this, it's, I mean, first of all, Mil won pretty handily, actually. Like the closest Paul London came to winning was 2 consecutive shooting stars and Mil kicked out. Like, to me, that's how you maintain credibility.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with that. I think you articulated my sentiments quite well because, first of all, to kind of answer the charge, because I know we've seen this in like the earlier rounds again when we're working through the respective groups. Why is such and such a match so competitive? This competitor should be able to put this competitor down. To me, if I'm looking at it, I'm not even going to bother looking at it from a kayfabe standpoint. I kind of put that aside when we do this podcast, or at least I try to, save for Worldwide Underground. But to me, Lucha, I look at this whole Cueto Cup and like pretty much having their entire roster and their mother in there as a form of advertisement. Like, oh, this is our troupe. This is our cast of characters. And I like that everybody gets to be put on display, because you never know who you're going to be a fan of. Just because a guy decimates another guy in 5 seconds, right, doesn't mean me having exposure to Lucha Underground for the first time doesn't mean I'm going to become a fan of that guy. I mean, who's to say if they have a competitive matchup, I won't come out really liking the other guy, saying to myself, I'm a Paul London fan now. So I like that. I like that these guys have been able to get shine, and gals for that matter, to really be able to show what they can do. And secondly, to kind of build on your point with Paul London versus Mil Muertes specifically, it's not like Paul London was using like comedy offense. Like he tried beating him with a shooting star press, for fuck's sake. Like that's as legitimate a wrestling move as you can find, because I mean all the best high flyers have busted it out once or twice.
Well, and especially when it's this situation where it's this smaller guy going against a big guy, like that just makes sense as a finisher, not just as an offensive maneuver, but as an actual finisher.
And the goofier stuff that Paul was doing, kind of like that Hadoken, kind of flurry of strikes, Mil just kind of looked at it and he's like, is that it? So yeah. I don't mind competitive matches because here's the thing. I think people, and I don't mean this insultingly, even though I'm sure there's no other way it can come out. I think sometimes people have too much of like a myopic viewpoint over like what credibility or dominance entails. Like, oh, to be credible and dominant, you've got to win a match in such and such a time in such and such a fashion. No, I think you're just as credible and just as dominant when 90% of the stuff that a guy does to you, you just kind of look at and you're like, pretty much that tickles, more or less. Like I feel like Mil did to Paul London tonight.
Yeah.
Paul needed the rabbit tribe multiple times, and that still wasn't good enough. And again, the amazing visual of Paul London hitting 2 shooting star presses back to back. So while Mil may not have had the wherewithal to stop them, he had more than enough to kick out of them. And then when Paul London got a little bit like too into himself, a little too excited, like, oh my God, I did it, Mil capitalized, and he didn't give Paul another chance after that because the spear broke him in half. And then the flat line just put him down for good. So, I think all these people that have been talking about the nature of some of the tournament matches, like, oh, why are these people like, why is it so competitive? It's because, they're selling themselves. Everybody's doing this tournament. So essentially, this is Lucha Underground saying, this is who we are. This is what we're about. So why not show it off? Because, again, you might have people that come away saying, that Mil guy was good, but that Paul London, I really want to know what that guy's all about. And, like, if they do that, I think that's a job well done. More than well done, actually. And, yeah, it was the best match on this show. I thought these guys killed it, especially that spot where, Paul's doing the super kicks around the world to Mil, but then Mil finally catches that one, and he just kind of puts Paul London down. I thought these two guys did a lot of great stuff. And, yeah, I just wanted to kind of have a little conversation with you about that because I do remember we heard some sentiments about that, and I just vehemently disagreed with them personally. And, yeah, Mil gets the win. He advances, so he'll be facing Jeremiah Crane. So we see Lucha Underground again keeping those narrative threads coming together. And Katrina gives the lick of death to Paul London, and nothing really notable beyond that. I got nothing else to say, so unless you do, we can move on.
All right, well, up next we had actually, before we move on, it is worth noting Katrina gave Paul London the lick of death, and he smiled about it. So,
yeah, he was quite happy about that.
Yeah. Speaking of men being happy to see women, though, Tejano in a bar is approached by the beautiful Brenda.
Yeah, so smitten and taken with her, orders her and himself a whiskey. And, they have a drink, and she says, when I drink, I get dizzy. And he says that
she didn't say she got dizzy. She said she told the truth.
Well, I mean, yeah, she said the truth, but I think she also said something about being lightheaded or dizzy, and then that's when Tejano said that.
No, she said sometimes when I get tipsy is what she said.
Right. But
sometimes when I get tipsy, the truth comes out was the line.
Right, well, I know she said that, but I think she must have said, like, oh, I'm starting to get tipsy or something, because then Tejano said, like I'm trying to say, that means it's working, which I was going to say kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, ooh, what are you trying to do here?
See, I must have missed that line.
Yeah, see, that's why I was trying to get it out. But yeah, you are right. Brenda does say that. And, she says, you're boring. And Tejano immediately has this look on his face like, what? Like, clearly this is taking a nosedive, not where he expected it to go. And, Brenda says, I mean, yeah, you're this blue-collar brawler. You're an ass kicker, but you're just bland. And then he's like, Tejano's not bland. Like, dude, your feelings are so hurt. It's so obvious. And Brenda's just like, calm down, take it easy. Just stay with me. And you could see Famous B in the background just kind of coaching Brenda like, yes, good, keep him there, sell it. And, she's just like, you just need a woman's touch, and just like really flirting with him and trying to get Tejano over on their side. Famous B wants to recruit Tejano bad, and you could even see the cinematic end with him smiling and shaking his head. So Brenda's just thinking to herself, I'm doing this for my pimp daddy. And, she's doing it quite successfully. So what do you think about this?
I love this, man. I love that not only is Lucha Underground openly admitting that they recognize that Tejano is a little on the boring side to the casual viewer, but they're also implementing it into a story in a way that makes him less boring.
Yeah. Talk about tackling a flaw head on and using it to your advantage.
Yeah.
That's really something.
Right?
Yeah, and I love Famous B in this too. Like, never accuse this man of not being committed to his job. Because this guy got powerbombed to hell by Tejano when he just wanted to give Tejano the win. And even despite Tejano being such a dick, Famous B's just thinking, well, I beat a guy with my shoe once. I can let this pass. I still want him on my team. So, yeah, Famous B is not giving up on Tejano. And I actually think Tejano joining up with Famous B speaking for him and introducing him, that would actually make Tejano one of the more interesting heels in the Temple to me. And I think he's got a lot more mileage than Dr. Whitener Jr., who I do love, but you're not going to see him, every week or even every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however long. So, yeah, Tejano, I think, would be the perfect client to kind of fit that mold. And, yeah, good cinematic. I love Famous B. I do enjoy Brenda, working her magic. And congratulations on finally being interesting, Tejano. So that's all I got to say about that.
Well, he's not interesting yet, but he's way.
Yeah, absolutely. So what came after this?
Our third and final match of the night. But before we got to the match itself, we did get some announcements that next week we're going to be getting Cage versus Pindar, PJ Black versus Prince Puma, which that's going to light it up. And another match, Dante Fox. Really, all three of these matches look amazing. Dante Fox versus Son of Havoc. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's the one I'm most looking forward to, but you're right. All three matches are going to kick ass for sure.
And then the two matches left after that in the second round are Drago versus Pentagon and Mac versus Tejano.
Ah, that is going to be interesting. We'll see. Yeah, the Cueto Cup continues, folks, and that's next week. But tonight, like you said, we did have our main event up next, right? So that is Marty the Moth versus Fenix. What'd you think about this match, man? I'll let you go first.
Well, the match itself was solid. I mean, it wasn't great by any means. I definitely think that I enjoyed Mil Paul London a little bit more, but that might just be my Mil Muertes bias because I freaking love that dude.
Right.
But I mean, I love Marty too, and maybe it's just one of those things where, as great as Marty is, not even he can get me interested in a Fenix match.
I'm right there with you. I adore Marty. I was pulling for him so bad. You guys don't believe me? You can go back if you didn't hear it. You know, Lucha Underground live reactions for this week. But Fenix, man, like, it's really getting to a point where, like, Fenix, I won't say he's at Kushida levels for me, because with Kushida, it's just this visceral hatred that I have. I don't think I could ever hate Fenix, because he'll always have grave consequences for me, where I can't even remember when I really got into a Kushida match. But it's just like, God damn, like, why are you so OP? I will say, though, much like the Paul London match, I mean, this match did kind of suck me in, because Marty got that double arm underhook, you know, gory special into the lung blower finisher, but Fenix kicked out of it. And then, you know, as soon as that happened, dude, I'm like, well, I'm still hoping for Marty, but in the back of my mind, I knew. I knew that Phoenix was going to win. Hell, dude, and you can back me up on this. When Phoenix got that pinning combination that he beat Mil Muertes for the title with, the referee didn't even begin the count, and I said, it's over. Like, the referee didn't even count 3, and I'm like, no, that's it. Because he beat Mil for the title with that. So I'm like, oh, yeah, he's going to beat Marty with that. So, yeah, like, Phoenix, look, he's a great in-ring performer. I actually...
Do I hate him as much as I hate Kushida? No. Am I as apathetic about him as I was about the Usos before they turned heel, though? Yes.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. In fact, in an odd twist, I only really seem to be interested in Phoenix on a more consistent level in PWG because, you know, he just gets a team with Pentagon, and it's not just him, like, being like him. And plus, he doesn't have the 1,000 Lives character, which I think in a way contributes to his OP-ness. Really, the only thing interesting about Phoenix to me it is, again, much like Sexy Star, what I said earlier, oddly enough, is the cinematic element to him, both the relationship with Katrina and what he's got going on right now with Melissa Santos and the Moth Tribe. You know, so I think Phoenix, much like Sexy Star, is more of a cinematic character for me as far as what scratches my itch, rather than an in-ring character where I'm just like, dude, go away. Like, why? I wanted Marty to win this so bad. I was so deflated. But, you know, again, not surprised. Should say, though, and here's the thing, this is where we always got the positivity in there. We say time and time again here, we may not have said it a while, but I'm saying it here, so there you go. Wins and losses, you don't always need to win to look great. And you know what? Despite the fact that he lost, Marty still has a fundamental understanding of his character, man. Because, like, Melissa's doing introductions and he's crowding her personal space, but he's got a lunchbox this week and he sticks a sandwich in her mouth, which Melissa immediately spits out and then announces Phoenix. He fish hooks Phoenix at one point, you know, just doing all this creepy stuff. So even if he loses, the guy wins in the sense that I'm Marty the Moth. I know who I am. I know what I'm doing in there, and I know that what I'm doing is steadily taking me to the top. Because he is one of my favorite characters in the Temple, hands down. Hands down. I fucking adore this dude. So, yeah, he loses the match. But again, though, we go back to me saying that Marty is still a winner in the sense that he gets his character and he makes that character work, because Phoenix is thinking he's going to celebrate, and bam, Marty cracks him right in the skull with the lunchbox. Melissa's freaking out, like, oh, you know, God, Phoenix, are you all right? And then as he tears at the mask of Phoenix more, because that was a point in the matchup, you know, just tearing at the mask and biting his head and this and that. You know, Marty definitely taking some notes from Mil Muertes there. He produces a fork from the lunchbox, and while Mariposa is restraining Melissa and making her watch, Marty the Moth, in one of the funniest scenes since Mr. Sisko's death, is just repeatedly stabbing Phoenix right in the head with that fork, busting him wide open, making his blood go all over that Aztec ring. I mean, it was fucking amazing. Talk about happy birthmas to me. My birthday and Christmas all rolled into one. I absolutely love this. What'd you think about this?
The match itself, like I said, I wish I could have gotten more into it, but Phoenix is just kind of in that zone where I just can't care about his match. I'll tell you what, though, I'm not a big Phoenix fan, and really, you could have replaced Phoenix with just about any generic babyface luchador. What Marty did post-match was really screwed up.
Yeah, it was. Oh my God, just stabbed him repeatedly again and again with that fork. I mean, that'll teach Fenix to try, though. We all have to learn in our own ways, and this is just how Fenix is going to learn.
Of
Sorry you chose the
course.
wrong path, dumbass.
Oh my
And then
God.
and then Melissa, oh, Fenix, are you all right? Bitch, I got stabbed in the head like 5 times. What do you think? I mean, Melissa, I don't know. I adore you. I think you're the best ring announcer in the business right now. But, you shouldn't have crossed the Moth Tribe. That's on you. That's all your fault. So that's
Wow.
really my opinion on things. Now, if people are thinking, wow, John, are you victim blaming? You know what? I am feeling so good after that. I'm not even gonna avert the question. You're goddamn right I am. You're goddamn right I am. Because if something happens to you over and over again, I think there comes a point where you should look to yourself for the problem. So take notes, Fenix. Take
Oh my
notes.
God.
So, do you have anything you want to add to that? Because I feel like my analysis was so brilliant, I might as well have spoken for the both of us, because God knows you need to be right about something regarding Marty the Moth. So, do you have anything you want to add?
Jesus Christ, dude. Take a break.
Are you good? Are you good?
Are you going to be keeping this confrontational about it?
Yes. Yes, I am, but I'll save that for the next segment, because unfortunately
Oh
we didn't get an ending
God.
cinematic this week.
Yeah, I was going to say, what next segment are you talking about?
Yeah, high spots, low shots. What else?
Oh my God. No, but seriously, though, it's interesting to me that Marty kind of channeled his inner Abdullah Butcher in this closing segment because the fork kind of brings back images of Abdullah because he used to do that shit too.
Funny you mentioned that, because it wasn't that long ago I was listening to shoot interviews from other people, mind you, but about Abdullah the Butcher. I gotta ask Marty if that was one of his influences, because he really does have not necessarily a more hardcore character, even though he did do that WMD match with Killshot, but of course the psychotic, violence is play for me kind of thing. So I think if
You know
I'm
what?
gonna
Though,
tweet at Marty
let's
after the
be
show.
fair, though, dude. Even though, yes, he did have the weapons of mass destruction match. We've never seen Marty get this violent towards a person before.
I know. I really hope we see more of this. This is unexplored territory for him, and I'm just if I couldn't love you even more. Amazing. Just amazing.
Oh my
Maybe next
God.
time he'll file a toothbrush down into a shank, and we'll see what he can do with that. That'd be glorious. So yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Marty taught us all a valuable lesson, and that's that any, common kitchen appliance can be used for brutal torment against somebody else. So next time when you're using your fork, to eat, just think about, how multifaceted a fork really is. That's kind of what I took away from this whole thing.
Okay, I guess who your high spot is tonight.
Yeah, we'll get right into it. High spots and low shots. You know what? My low shot. Let me think. You know what? My low shot is Taya, because I think she was her and Marty were two really credible people that lost their matches. Except the difference is that when Taya lost her match, her night went from bad to worse, because then Sexy Star came out and later out with the Brass Knucks. And I'm still loving Taya. I still got you, Taya, but it was a rough night. That said, though, I know you're going to bounce back and teach Sexy Star a lesson, but for tonight, though, you're my low shot. Please forgive me. I love you. So who's your low shot, Ashton?
Please forgive me. I love you. Even though he did win his match tonight, I have to give my low shot to Fenix because he continues to be not interesting, and he got literally assaulted with a fork after his match.
Absolutely. I've really learned about myself that I just love laughing at others, especially when the misfortune is so great. I'm at peak Schadenfreude right now, just thinking back to just Fenix getting stabbed over and over. Man, I'm glad that wasn't me. So, yeah, I think that's an excellent choice. Can't say he didn't deserve it, but, still a great low shot nonetheless. Move on. My high spot. I'd love to give it to Marty, but I'm not, though, because he still lost. And the big object of tonight, of course, was advancing in the Cueto Cup. So I'm actually going to give it to Jeremiah Crane. This might actually be the first time I've given him a high spot, in anything. Like I said, Jeremiah Crane, my favorite iteration, of Sami Callihan. He's been doing this for quite a while at this point. I think Lucha Underground understands him to a T, and this character, like I said, fits him like a hand in the glove. And on a more kayfabe note, of course, he beat Taya tonight. And here's the thing, didn't even have to worry about Mil Muertes tonight. This and that, because I think in Muertes' mind, he was kind of hoping Jeremiah would win, right? And then Mil won his match against Paul London. So maybe you could say, oh, aren't you worried for Jeremiah? He has to be in the ring with Mil. No, because Jeremiah's confident about it. Remember the last time they were in the ring together, Jeremiah won that match. Mil's head. So if anything, that's an even better night for Jeremiah that Mil advanced as well. So yeah, Jeremiah Crane's my high spot for sure.
I just don't even know what to do with you at this point.
What? I thought that was a very good justification that I gave about everything.
No, but how was Marty not your high spot when you were freaking out about him?
Look, I loved that he abused another human being that's just utterly worthless. But, and he needs to do more of that for sure, but he still lost his match, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to do it. I mean, I'm probably going to watch that 20 times. But, yeah, he unfortunately lost. So who is your high spot, though?
Well, my high spot's pretty easy because it's actually the #1 on my top 5 favorite Lucha Underground performers list, and he won his match, and he put on the most entertaining match of the night. So, Mil Muertes.
Yeah, that's exactly why I didn't pick him, brother, because I knew you were going to. I'm like, I know he's your favorite, so I wanted to let you have that, because you always let me have Johnny.
If you didn't already know that I was going to pick Mil, would he have been your pick?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
but I know you always...
your #1 choice. So, Marty, after all this hype that you've been giving Marty because of the post-match assault, him having lost his match was enough to knock him all the way down to the 3rd candidate for your high spot.
Well, we have to keep perspective. This is all about the Cueto Cup. That's what all these episodes are based. And therefore, I think our criteria should serve something else. Yeah, look, of course, I'm all for people abusing absolutely worthless human beings. So Marty's my hero right now. I love him. I'll love him till the day I die, just like Taya tonight. Do I hope he keeps beating the shit out of Fenix whenever he sees him? Yes, because that's what you... But did he lose to Fenix? Unfortunately, yes. So it's a mixed bag. But I did love what we saw from Marty tonight. But objectively, he did not advance. Jeremiah did, and plus it saves me from having to say that Fenix is my high spot, especially given that he was bleeding all over the canvas to end the show tonight. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess because I kind of overlooked the fact that Fenix won his match because he got destroyed after it was over.
Yeah. But
that's fair, though. That's fair, yeah. I mean, I appreciate you kind of letting me have Mil because that's my boy.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, you do the same thing for me whenever Johnny Mundo has a really good night, so how could I not return the courtesy? And I'll just say one more thing, too. Like, I think I would have gone with Marty if I thought, well, maybe he beat Fenix down that he won't even be able to compete in the tournament, but literally the character is 1,000 lives. We know that's a round matchup. So, like,
He's come back from literal death multiple times.
Exactly. So, like, I couldn't even take that limb with Marty. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, maybe. But Marty will bounce back. I'm still really invested in the season, but getting to your high spot, I completely agree. Mil owned it tonight. So
do you think then that Marty is going to cost Fenix his match against Cage, or do you think he's not even going to need to and the Cage is just going to destroy Fenix?
Dude, after the tent I fucking pitched tonight, I'll tell you exactly what I want. I hope Marty the Moth is the Braun Strowman to Phoenix's Roman Reigns. I hope Fenix isn't even allowed to breathe without Marty just being like, I'm not finished with you.
I'm not finished with you.
Exactly. And just stabs him in that head over and over and over again. Oh, God, yes. So.
Wow. You need to change your underwear, dude.
I will. Believe you me. So, yeah, I could definitely see him costing Fenix. And really, again, and I hate to say it this way because I personally don't believe it. It's just I think where the storyline is going. Melissa Santos is kind of the aim of this storyline. I don't mean to objectify her, but Marty clearly wants to, like, take her away from Fenix. He clearly sees her as like, oh, you'll see things my way, you'll love me. Like, if anything, he's objectifying her. So I'm just kind of...
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Fenix is just her man. Like, Fenix is her boyfriend. The only person objectifying her in this whole thing is Marty.
Right. So... And Melissa kind of being the focus here, I'm curious how that'll tie in. Because here's the thing, we've seen storylines like this before, and either Fenix and Melissa are going to try
See,
up.
but the difference between Lucha Underground and every other instance of a storyline like this happening is we've never seen a storyline like this where the woman being objectified gets to fight for her damn self.
Yeah, that is true. And I have to imagine that Melissa will eventually, because I know we
I
did
mean, I
see.
know for a fact that she used to wrestle. She's not a currently active wrestler, but she does have training.
Yeah, and we do see like her and Phoenix like in a ring together. It does seem to get a
Training,
little
yeah.
playful, in the part that we saw. But yeah, training, and that could be something. I mean, hell, for all we know, in Lucha Underground, they'd find a way for Melissa to turn on Phoenix and actually go with Marty and make it work. That's why I'm so
Nah,
invested in this.
there's no way.
Yeah, and see, you say no way, but in Lucha Underground, I say anything's possible. Do I think it'll happen? No. But do I take it off the table? Fuck no. I've learned my lesson. I never take anything off
See,
the
but
table.
my thing with Lucha Underground is I don't think that they would portray Marty as this much of a scumbag and then let him have his way.
Right. I mean, we'll see, my man. We'll see.
There's
But
one thing that I feel like is pretty consistent with Lucha Underground is that they're really good about giving heels and scumbags their comeuppances when they feel it's most deserved.
right. And that's the very essence of pro wrestling, right? You wait for the good guy to win. You don't know like which good guy, but a good guy will always come out on top. And in this case, yeah, Phoenix might overcome Marty the Moth. But again, I'm very invested in this storyline. Marty hit a road bump. We'll see if he recovers. Mills certainly didn't, and he faces Jeremiah Crane in the next round. That's going to be an amazing matchup. So with that said, do you have any concluding remarks about Lucha Underground?
Absolutely not, my friend. Let's close this out, and we might actually be able to go live with our NXT review tonight at 11 instead of 11:30.
Yeah, we shall see about that because NXT tonight. We know that it's going to be Authors of Pain versus Heavy Machinery for the NXT Tag Team Championships. So we'll see you guys then. In the meantime, though, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-ordinator commentary. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes you leave on the video, the more likely we are to be the top search result for Lucha Underground reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So, guys, I'm going to very quickly run through this. All of our media is in the description box. And in particular, I like to say this for Lucha Underground reviews. If you are new to our reviews, first and foremost, welcome to your new favorite podcast. Second of all, if you're getting into Lucha Underground, if you're like, oh my God, where has this been all my life? The answer, first of all, is right in front of you. And second of all, we can help you out. Get caught up because in the description is all of our Lucha Underground content. This includes Lucha Underground Season 1 reviews, rewatch, Season 2 live reactions, and rewatch. I believe, we did live reactions episode 1 as well, I believe. So, we covered everything pillar to post. And, of course, everything with this most recent season, reviews and live reactions. And when we do reviews, as you guys saw here, we like to pick certain things apart. We like to expound upon certain points. So anything that you're probably thinking about, we're probably thinking about it too, and we've hashed it out. So get the best discussions all there in the description box. As far as general TWitWoW info, it's all right there. From our Twitter right down to our Teespring store. Definitely check out the Teespring store. My partner here has made some amazing t-shirts between Kevin Owens, because he's a father, damn it, and a Scum Squad t-shirt. And we also do have distinct Scum Squad merch. Check out our offerings on Teespring. But the two things I want to plug, first and foremost, the Patreon. We have got 3 pay tiers that I find very exciting. We have got 1, live reactions. We've done away with reviews. We find, that people actually prefer live reactions, whatever, and I think it's a pretty sweet deal. Or you can get a review, but it's in a live reaction bundle, so live reaction review bundle. And the third tier, which I'm most excited about, and we've really been pushing lately, the TWitWoW Discord. The Discord is the most intimate access TWitWoW fans get with us, because in the Discord, you can chat with us real time about all things pro wrestling, or I know there's a general tab, so you can talk about games, music, current events, whatever. It's access to us and our opinions, literally conversing with us. I've started to do like Raw discussions over there. Didn't really talk about Raw on Twitter much this past Monday. I'm going to try and avoid that. I want to save those for Discord. And I know we talked about quite a few Raw segments. I know Raw had that one really hot Joe Lesnar Reigns segment. We talked about that a little bit on the Discord. So yeah, guys, it's definitely something you want to be a part of. And if the intimate access with the two of us isn't enough to sell you, well, I would like you to think more again about the cheap price point of $3 a month, because that accrues. So if you do a $3 donation for 10 consecutive months, to stay active in the TWitWoW Discord, that accrues to $30, and then you can cash that in for a live reaction to a 3-hour show. So I mean what you get by being in the Discord at such a low rate is long-term purchasing power. I think that's very interesting. I think it's a win-win-win, guys. I'm a big believer in the Discord. I've started to be more active in it. I've got people, I think, even in the chat now that can vouch for me, because I know forever I was saying, I'll be a part of it more, I'll be a part of it more. Well, I'm a part of it now, damn it. And I think it's amazing. So if you're not on it yet, please get on it. Other thing I want to plug, Q&A. I was even adding questions that I got from July 2nd. I just tabulated them today. So I'm still, adding questions. And you guys have got 15 days to get your questions in. Q&A this month is going to be Thursday, July 27th. If you haven't gotten your questions in, you have just a little over 2 weeks to do so. Get them in. Be a part of Q&A. It's an amazing experience, guys. Last month, we got 70 questions. It was insane. And the variance of topics, just unbelievable what you guys can think of sometimes. I've already gotten some very interesting questions, but the window is still open a good bit. You guys should already know the methods that you can submit them. You can tweet at me on Twitter. I even have a pinned tweet dedicated to receiving Q&A questions, and then I immediately add them. I'm keeping a list. That's what I've started doing going forward. Makes it a lot easier for everybody. So the moment you send me questions, know that I'm going to record them down. You can send them to me through the pinned tweet. You can DM me. You can DM Ashton. You can wait for this video to process and comment on it with your questions. You can visit the TWitWoW Facebook page. If you do so, please leave a like and inbox us there. I know that's Alex Foster's favorite method. So there are a multitude of avenues you can take to participate in Q&A. No reason why your voice should be left out of the biggest video we do every month. So get in on that, guys. And as far as the future goes, yes, Jarveras mentioned in chat, it's funny that I'm starting to talk about the future. 5 days until G1. We're going to be doing G1 live reaction soon. That is the biggest wall-to-wall coverage we give anything, in my mind, of the entire year. And we are doing things a bit differently this year because we'll only be covering the tournament matches. We're skipping the preliminary tag matches. I think that'll save everybody a lot of time, and we get to the good stuff that you want to see. Plus, this will be the first year, because it's our third year doing it, that we'll be doing it live through Google Hangouts. So again, it won't be like, doing this one match and then, stay tuned, and then this other match. Nah. We do this whole stream listen live now, bitches. It's amazing. So cannot wait for G1 in 5 days. Blocks look very interesting. Very confident about our presentation and format. Should be a lot of fun. We hope all you guys join us.
Just to kind of hammer this out, John, are we going to be going live at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What because I'm 3 p.m. is like our normal afternoon time. Seems to be like a good balance between making sure that West Coasters are up in time to see it and that UK people don't have to stay up to ridiculous hours of the night to see it. So is 3 good for you?
Considering that we're just covering the tournament matches, which should save us a lot of time, 3 is good for me.
It'll probably be like a maximum of 2 hours a show.
Which isn't bad. Yeah.
Maybe 2.5 for longer shows. But yeah, that's about what I'm expecting. And yeah, really, that'll only take us to 5:30, and that's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad because, if we were still doing everything, I would tell you the earlier the better, so 1.
Yeah.
But I think we could get away with 3. So you guys can expect that, starting July 17th, going live at 3 p.m., but kind of working backwards. We know tomorrow, and I'm assuming, Ashton, you'll want to go tomorrow at 3 for our Patreon request, because I know we're doing live reactions to Money in the Bank 2011.
That's correct.
We'll be going live at 3 p.m. tomorrow for that. We're doing live reactions as a whole. Money in the Bank 2011 pay-per-view, which of course includes the infamous John Cena versus CM Punk WWE Championship match. Should be very interesting. I haven't looked back at that match since it first aired. So you're talking 6 years since I've even touched the damn thing. Should be very interesting. And now working backwards to the most immediate future, as you guys already know, we have got an NXT review upcoming. We will probably be going live at like 11, but, if we don't, we always put something out. But just know we will be going live with a review tonight. Again, the big matchup, Authors of Pain versus Heavy Machinery, NXT Tag Team titles hanging in the balance, and what I'm looking most forward to, Johnny Gargano returns tonight to address the NXT universe after Tommaso Ciampa's shocking and just utterly hilarious betrayal. What will Johnny have to say about it? We'll find out. And you can get all your best coverage here at TWitWoW. Till then, I'm John. That's my co-owner, Commentary Ashton. Tune in and peace out.